Frank Zito is a deeply disturbed young man, haunted by the ghosts of his past and the blood on his hands. After the death of his abusive mother, a prostitute who forced him to watch as she entertained her clients, Frank takes over the family's mannequin restoration business. But his work is not just about fixing lifeless dolls, it's about creating his own macabre fantasy. Driven by violent delusions, he hunts women, murders them in cold blood, and scalps them, attaching their hair to his mannequins to reconstruct the only moment of comfort he ever knew, brushing his mother's hair before she disappeared into the night. Desperate for connection, Frank joins a dating site and secures a date with a woman named Lucy. She invites him to dinner, seducing him with flirtatious teasing and whispered promises. Nervous but entranced, Frank follows her home, where she undresses before him, pulling him close and kissing his lips. She pushes him onto the bed, straddling him, her body pressing against his, but as her touch grows more intimate, Frank panics. The heat of her breath, the scent of her skin, it's too much. His hands wrap around her throat, squeezing. Lucy gasps, clawing at his fingers, but her struggles weaken until she goes limp. A cold silence settles in the room. Trembling, Frank scalps her, returning home to crown yet another mannequin with the hair of the dead. One morning, Frank is jolted awake by the click of a camera shutter. A beautiful photographer, Anna, is outside his shop, taking pictures of his mannequins. Fascinated by his work, she steps inside, eager to collaborate. Unlike anyone before, Anna sees beauty in what Frank creates, and for the first time in his life, someone looks at him with admiration rather than disgust. A friendship blossoms, and for a fleeting moment, Frank dares to believe in something other than death. He takes medication to suppress the rage gnawing inside him, but the hunger never truly fades. One night, he follows a dancer home, stalking her through the dark. When she senses danger and runs, Frank chases her into a parking lot, grabbing her as she screams. He drives his knife into her stomach, again and again, her warm blood spilling onto his hands. Another trophy. Another mannequin adorned. At Anna's art exhibit, Frank meets her boyfriend, Jason, and Rita, a smug art director who sneers at him, mocking his fascination with mannequins. The ridicule echoes in his head like his mother's cruel laughter. Later that night, the rage takes control. He follows Rita home, slipping into her apartment unseen. She barely has time to scream before he's on her, dragging her into the bathtub, submerging her beneath the water as she thrashes. Hog-tying her to the bed, he looms over her, his breath hot against her trembling skin. He whispers to her as if she were his mother, his voice thick with resentment, abandonment, and twisted longing. Then, in a final burst of fury, he scalps her alive. The next day, Frank calls Anna, offering comfort in her grief. But when he speaks of Rita's death with details only the killer would know, horror dawns in her eyes. Heart pounding, she lunges, driving a knife through his hand before barricading herself in her room. Her screams draw the attention of her neighbor, Martin, who bursts in to save her, only to be met with Frank's cleaver splitting his skull. There's nowhere left to run. Frank breaks down the door, seizing Anna in a chokehold, cutting off her breath until she collapses. He carries her unconscious body to his van, driving home to complete his masterpiece. But Anna is not done fighting. As he opens the doors, she springs to life, stabbing him in the stomach with a jagged piece of rebar. Staggering away, she flees into the street, where a passing car skids to a halt. The driver sees Frank, bloody, wild-eyed, and panics, hitting the gas. The impact sends Frank crashing to the pavement and hurls Anna through the windshield in a shower of glass. Dying, she gasps for breath as Frank stumbles toward her. He kneels beside her, brushing his fingers against her cheek. His trembling hands grip her hair. With one last, reverent motion, he scalps her. Returning home, Frank places Anna's hair on his final mannequin, a bride, veiled and waiting. But his wounds are deep, and death looms near. As he fades, his mind unravels completely. The mannequins begin to move, their hollow eyes filling with rage. The lifeless women he butchered emerge from the shadows, their lips curled in silent screams. They tear into him, clawing his flesh, peeling away his face to reveal the truth beneath, he was nothing more than a mannequin all along. When the SWAT team finally arrives, they find nothing but a corpse. Frank lies slumped in his closet, his decaying trophies surrounding him. His twisted masterpiece, at last, complete. What's the most disturbing part of watching a horror film through the killer's eyes? The brutal murders, the eerie silence of lifeless mannequins, or the slow descent into madness? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time.